Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And before we actually get any too far into our episode, I just want to say, got Pizza Boyz, issue 10, Kickstarter, up and running, doing something fun where it's just going to be, if you're in America at least, it's $20 for a t-shirt and digital comic combo pack. That includes shipping and all that good stuff. It's only an extra $2 if you're outside of America, so if you want to order that in Canada, or England, or Australia, or Japan,
China, Australia,
Yeah, so, yeah. So, got that going up there. Got a fun video to go with it. I think I showed you the video, didn't I, Ryan, when you were up?
You showed me, yeah, the like 90s kind of quasi-surreal thing, and you kind of intercut old cartoons we worked on, so anybody who's not familiar with that, it's like, what the was that Batman for a second? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, so like, I don't know if did I have the animation done of like Kyle skateboarding by the time you were here last?
No,
okay,
I didn't see that, but you did have that very 90s extreme, like, just kind of static, yet there's a lot of color, thing going on.
Yeah, so there's that on there. We'll have to show you that part later on, because that part was kind of fun that I added to it, but yeah, I got that new one. It's all about video game addiction and a skateboard tournament throwdown. Fun stuff to be had, all in the sitcom-styled comic book series. But just want to make sure I got that out there before I forgot, because if there's anything I'm good at, it's forgetting.
It happens.
You get that idea, and you're like, oh, shit, that's what well, never mind then. But
too many things to keep track of.
I know, too many things to keep track of. But speaking of other things, though, we go back to Pokemon Sword and Shield, or I go back to Shield, Ryan goes back to Sword. I almost said Shield, too. But with the new expansion to the Isle of Armor.
Yeah, so I guess this is the first time I bought like a brand new Pokemon game right when it came out, other than probably Yellow or Gold and Silver.
Didn't you get Black?
And I got Black, but that was already like a generation behind by the time I started playing it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was already like, I think Sun and Moon were out or something by the time I started playing. Maybe not Sun and Moon, but it was already like probably 1 or 2 games in from whatever the next one was, or like after the re-release. Because usually what they do is, they'll have the 2 main versions, and they have the Super Deluxe version, which comes out maybe a year later or something.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's what it was. I think it was Black 2 came out, or Black and White 2 came out, and I think that's when you got Black. Because I remember you asked me, you're like, hey, should I play Black before I play, Black 2 or whatnot? And I was like, well, it's like
technically the same game.
Well, they're not the same one. That one I think was like one of those ones where it's like it takes place in the same world, but it was like a second story, if I remember correctly. I have the game because I've played through pretty much about 90% of the main Pokemon games that came out. I pretty much always get them. Every once in a while, they'll be like, there's always a couple of them. Like, I never got, like, I think X and Y 2, if there was, I think, or no, it was Sun, Super Sun, and whatever Moon. Like, because I thought that one was like, that sounded like it was more just sort of the expanded version and whatnot. I'm like, well, I'm not going to need that one, But beyond that, to me, I always look forward to, like, a brand new Pokemon that comes out. Like, no matter what, it's always a magical experience. But that Sword and Shield one was beyond awesome. I guess because that was the game that any Pokemon fan from, like, the N64 generation has been wanting for like over 20 years, and it's like they finally got to it, where you got a console Pokemon game just full on.
Well, it's also one of those things where you got the new ones, and some of the new ones look pretty cool, but then you also had these, you be playing the game, and you just think, okay, I'm just guessing, because I'll be honest, I didn't look a whole lot into it before getting it. I was like, you know what, fuck it. No high school or middle school kids here to judge me. Fuck it, I'll play it. I remember Red and Blue being fun. Maybe I lost interest in the show, but hey, why not? Fuck it. So I went and bought it. Like, oh yeah, this still is totally a fun game. And it's one of those things, you're playing it, you're like, and I thought maybe only like a handful of original characters were in it. Like, oh no, they're sprinkled throughout there. And they did the whole thing like, oh wow. I found myself kind of looking for a Caterpie. Like, oh, there's a Generation 1 Caterpie around here? Oh, that's cool. You gonna use it? No, but still, And that's kind of one of those things where sometimes, like, I'll say, I think that's the thing when you first start playing one of these games is you see everything and you start wanting to catch everything, but after a while, like, fuck that looks stupid, you just keep walking,
Well, I think it's there's that initial feeling, and it happens in every time I play a Pokemon game, where, yeah, you're catching everything, you're like that, and then after about 60 Pokemon, you're kind of like, kind of burnt out, and it's like, and then it's like, well, and that's why I like the Pokemon like Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu versions, is because I personally like the catching Pokemon in that one a lot, because the downfall that's always been the Pokemon is after a while your Pokemon are so leveled up that like when you need to go catch like a Sandshrew or something like that, you're like, oh shit, I'm never gonna be able to catch this with like a level 60 Pokemon to like a level 10. You know what I mean? Like it's never gonna work out, and that's what I loved about like the Yellow and Eevee one, or whatever, the fucking Pikachu and Eevee, is that like it didn't make a difference because the catching was almost like a separate type of, I guess, game you would say inside it, not necessarily the battle Pokemon, weaken them down, then catch them. It was just like, no, just keep throwing balls, keep pouring money in those balls.
Just make it rain, essentially. And then, but the whole thing with that was, even though that was probably a little bit better for catching them, I'll say this, like, at least this one, I mean, I think, I don't remember if Black did it, but at least, your characters get leveled up just for being in the same party. And plus, you also get experience after you catch something. So, there are times where I almost found myself capturing something and getting more, maybe it depends on what the character was or how level it was. But I remember there was times, because I was trying to, at some point, for those who don't know, the whole Isle of Armor thing, it has this whole Kung Fu motif. And you go to this island, and you get a couple little side quests, but the main thing is they give you this little Kung Fu bear guy named
Kubfu.
Kubfu, which he's cute. I like him. And
it kind of feels like, I have to say this though, quickly, it does feel like you're sort of taking the special ed kid to martial arts class.
It does, kind of, just because in the context of, by this point in the game, you're like probably at your lowest, you're probably in like the low 70s at your lowest. And then realistically, you're probably somewhere in the 80s to 90s or whatever. And suddenly they throw you this thing, and you're like, okay, so this thing's probably going to be level 60 or whatever. I'm going to train it up. But oh, it's level 5. You want me to train this thing all the way up? Oh, we're doing that? Okay. It's one of those things that I'll say, the first, like, while, though, it's pretty easy. All the thing has to do is just sit in your party and just levels up, like, 18 levels, like, every, like, guy you fight, and he doesn't have to do anything. But then, once he starts probably reaching around 40, 45, that's where it starts to slow down a bit, and then you start having to actually maybe throw him out there for a second, pull him back, and then you actually start to training him up, and that's where it kind of begins to slow down, and you're thinking, whatever, okay. I'll say I got mixed feelings about this expansion. I ultimately like it, because the first thing I did before I even went around actually doing the mission, I just explored the island, just looking around, seeing what I could capture.
Yeah, well, I'll say, I think that's the thing. If you're going to go on this expansion, it's an amazing one if you want to just go catch Pokemon. They'll give you a copious amount of Pokemon that you can go out there and find from, everyone from, like, Red and Blue to Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire. I mean, there's Pokemon galore from all just different ones. So, like, the catching Pokemon, if that's your real thing, this expansion is totally worth it. Now, if you're really going into it for a hardcore story and all, like, that kind of stuff, it's a little bit on that shallow side for that thing, Well,
it's one of those things where I get it. They probably just said, like, because when you get there, everything is 60 or higher. And most stuff is at 60. Most of the people you fight are at 60. And by this point in the game, you're well beyond that, more than likely. And I remember, because, they're like, oh, look, the island opened up or whatever. So go to the island and check it out. And then they're like, depending on what version you get. I already didn't like my character, but it's depending if you get Sword or Shield, it depends on who your rival on this island is. And just going off the image and seeing it sounds like the same personality, it sounds like the Shield version is so much more hateable of what your rival is. The top hat douchebag.
Well, yeah, so the Shield one, what you get is you get this guy who's like,
he's dressed like a dandy, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like a psychic guy, and he's got Pokeballs swirling around his hat, which on any other character might actually look kind of cool, but this guy finds a way to totally ruin it. And to top it off, it's just like this guy's like, I'll say this, I'd rather have this guy than the stupid rival though in fucking like the home country, because at least this guy's not trying to be my friend. I think that was always what bothered me about that other rival in Sword and Shield, is I hate how that guy like Hop is trying to, Hop, it's like, fuck you, Hop, you are not my friend. Just because you live next door to me does not mean we have to fucking hang out. Fuck you. fuck you, Hop. I hope you fucking die. Like, that was like that one. That's the only thing about these Pokemon games is they kind of come along. It's like they've kind of tried to. They've almost like erased. There's like no such thing as like a true rival. Everything's kind of like it's competition, fun. You know, we can still be best friends. Like, fuck you. I want to hate that person. I want that when I go to sleep at night, I want to dream of that person being hung, and I'm gonna be the one hanging him, like an old Western film.
It's like
I'm gonna be bringing him in like a
hang
bounty.
him.
At the very end.
You just want to hang him. You want to see him like hang like by a Venusaur vine, you know?
Yeah, hang him high. You know what I mean? And nobody's gonna come down to shoot him and free him. We're just gonna all slowly watch.
It's one of those things you're just like, we're going training for a little while. Hop, want to come with us? Okay. And then you get out to like a graveyard. Why are we at this graveyard? There's like a cross there near like a tombstone cross with like a near a tree. Like, get on there. Like, what? Get on there. You feel the news? You totally do like the end of Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
It's got that Trey Parker song playing, like, hang the bastard, hang him high. But so at least
kill him with the Charizard that his brother gave you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took that Charmander and I fucking leveled the fuck out of it because I was like, oh shit, it could just sit in the background and just like collect experience. But I will say what were you gonna say?
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say I feel a little bad for my starter because my starter was the rabbit, the fire rabbit thing, and I took that out and replaced him with Charmander. I'm like, I'm gonna level this guy up for a little while. He's already at level 80. I don't see this game having that much longevity past that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and level up Charizard for a while, and because it sucks when like, well, I got a Charizard on my team, and he's the weakest motherfucker on this thing.
Well, I know that was kind of the thing too, and oddly enough, in Sword and Shield, this was the game where my starter Pokemon was not my main Pokemon the whole adventure through there. I still kept him because I had like the Vine Gorilla who like bangs on the drum and whatnot.
I like that one.
Which he's pretty cool all in all, but like I started using other Pokemon instead as kind of my main one, and he was just kind of there. It's like he's still like probably like number 3. But wasn't number 1, let's just say that. Like, where most Pokemon games, you kind of use the starter as your main one pretty much the whole way through.
My 3 main, for me, was, I forget what it's actually called, but it was the Fire Rabbit. 'Cause I always name them something, so it becomes, I forget what they're actually called. I have the rabbit, his name was Dalton, named after Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And then I had, Bolthound, which I didn't rename him for some reason. And I when we actually were first talking about this game almost a year ago, Jesus, and I said, "Oh, I don't like what he evolved into." That's the thing about this game. Whenever a new Pokemon game comes out, if you look up what something evolves into, there's so much DeviantArt shit and so much fan art shit that pops up before the actual thing. So seeing what he actually evolved into, I'm like, "Oh, I liked what he." Okay, cool. So Bolthound, and then. I don't remember what it's called, but there's the big, because once again, I named him something. So it's the big iron bird thing. It looks basically a cross between a knight and a bird.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's like steel. That and I named him Sky Daddy. So I really so
that's the best name of them all, the Sky Daddy.
Yeah. So.
Can I go on a ride, Sky Daddy? Come along here, Ryan. Jump on in.
Sky Daddy is looking for praise. Sky Daddy healed himself upon your praise. You know. So those are my 3 biggest ones, and I feel a little bad for taking Dalton off the team, but he's just taking a break. I just wanted to trade up Charizard just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll say the version on Shield on Sword. It's kind of like your rival is this keep in mind what I say. I know it's already kind of anime characters, but she looks like an anime cosplayer, Instagram influencer within Pokemon. That's what she looks like, because she's very like always doing the anime like posing, has the big pink hair that no one has. Like, even in this world, I'm like, that's not your real fucking hair color, You could like look at somebody like some character with green or blue hair in like Pokemon. I'm like, maybe it's real. I don't know. But this one, like, no, something about it's super fake, and she's always very fake happy, but she's always trying to screw you over. And her whole thing is she doesn't want to look weak, but she's not fucking good at her job. And that's the thing about, I'll say this about these new games, is maybe they want the characters to come across as incompetent, or maybe it's how well you play, because they always make Bede like he's so good. He is so fucking good. But he's a little pompous prick who I can knock out in 1 or 2 hits. And then you got Hop, who is intentionally, I think, meant to be a fuck-up. Because even though they say he's good, I think he's in some ways meant to be a fuck-up, because he chooses the one weaker than you, and Leon chooses the one stronger than you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of weird how that sort of is. I mean, the guy that I had was just like such a douche. It's just like, I guess it's also like the psychicness adds to the douche stuff. He's like, oh, look at this fucking psychic guy carrying his Pokeballs around his hat and whatnot. And he's like, hey, I need to battle you. I need to prove that I'm tough. And you're just like, whatever, fuck you. And then you like kind of beat him and while he's like, oh, well, you just got lucky. My psychic senses sensed what was going to happen, and it must have just failed or whatnot. But I'll get you next time. And this is the part that I thought was even douchier. I remember like when like the sensei guy, you're going out, he's like, oh, okay, kids, you go out and get some mushrooms for Grandpa. Get me the big ones that I can cook up. This is a Grandpa meal now.
You're gonna cook it up? I don't know. I didn't say anything about cooking. I'm just be listening to some Fish albums in my den. Fuck.
Yeah. So
Grandpa's retired. He don't got shit to do.
But then, like, when I finally found the mushrooms, I click on it. The psychic guy runs up, and this is what he does. He's like, hey, like, I psychically sensed they were here, so because of that, I think I deserve to have these first. And I was just like, fuck you. Like, that was like, well, I didn't say that actually Pokemon, but there was pretty much the choice. It was like, go fuck yourself. I found this. Go, fucking suck a dick. I don't care what you have to do. You're fucking psychic. Bitch, like, I'm not gonna deal with that right now. If you want to battle me right now, I'll get the fucking experience points from you, but you are not getting my fucking mushroom.
It's like, well, I remember I had that with the chick though. The I don't remember her fucking name.
Is she psychic? Does she sense that like
she's not psychic, but she's basically her whole thing. She has a poison motif, and she just looks like I said, the best way I can think to describe her is she looks like they make no points about her pulling out a phone or doing Instagram shit, but she just looks like an Instagram cosplayer, and essentially is what she looks like. I know that it's already an anime, but still, at the same time, that just says how much of like how I think she's just meant to be. She's putting on this facade, like she's very confident, but she's not. Like I think that's kind of more her thing, and she's always trying to prove herself, but she's always fucking up. And she shows up. She's like, well, I was here like a day earlier, so I should have those mushrooms. And once again, it's a fuck you. And I'll say this, like whenever you fight one of these guys, because you come to this dojo, and this dojo has, the whole kind of like game of death kind of thing to it. Everyone's dressed in yellow and black, which is cool. Cool. But the thing is, everyone's like, all right, youngster, we're going to show you how it is. We trained Leon. That's why we should be taken serious. Like, yeah, I fucking beat Leon, and I'm not sure if you've heard, if you have fucking Wi-Fi here on this fucking island, but I'm the fucking new champion. Like, I get there's that whole thing, like, people don't know, like, maybe, like, they gotta make a game where it's, like, you could play this before or after you beat the game, but at the same time, you think that's something they would have just changed slightly, where people were aware. Because suddenly you go to this island and it's trying to act all hard and all tough, like, look, you're just not ready for this yet. Oh, fuck you, I'm ready. I knocked all your guys out in one fucking hit. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those ones. It's like they really should have almost gave it like more like this is the Master Islands that you come to like after you become a Pokemon Master, and you complete your training. Some people came to these islands and they just were never the same afterwards, and they went to live in a cave and hunt down Mewtwo's.
Yeah, there's more than one. We each drove them to extinction. That's why there's only one left.
He let one live, and he just walked around like, I killed them all. I killed the fuck them all. Can't stand anything that's not supposed to be of this earth. It's like, oh God, like Red. It's like Red's like, I don't believe in anything created by man. I only like nature. Fuck you, Blue. Use the balls anymore.
Just get fucking. You just like Red Rambo, yeah.
I went there, and when they came back, nobody cared! Nobody cared! Oh, shit, Red saw some shit when he went to that fucking island.
Lieutenant Surge says, me and Lieutenant Surge went to a village, they handed him a doll, he fucking blew up! Then some hippies fucking come back! They throw they hand him a pokey doll. That's what they hand
Yeah! Go Barry blew up in his face!
Fucking Erica from Celadon City and all her fucking green Pokemon hippies were throwing shit at me! They were fucking there, they didn't fucking know! Was Erica Celadon? I don't remember. Yeah, she was. All right. But like, it's what I'll say. This there's only one part of this game. This is actually I feel a little for how much shit I was just talking. I feel a little bad that not a little bad, but because I know why. I actually did lose on this island 2 times because I was impatient because the thing. They want you to go and train because at some point they give you Kubfu, and Kubfu's I like them, and like you said, it feels like you're taking like a special needs kid on a field trip. But I think the reason is it's because you're such like a bad motherfucker by this point, and then you like form a bond with this thing. Okay, all right, so you got to go form a bond with it, take it to these cool sites, and then train it out in the woods, and then eventually. You have to go up. It's literally. I think it has to be a reference to Game of Death because you're in yellow and black, and you got to go up these different levels of this tower to fight like each guy at a different level. But the thing is, no one has their own unique flair to it. It's not like, oh wow, this guy. He's kind of not that I'm expecting it literally to be a Game of Death. Like I'm not expecting you to fight. Abdul King Jabbar wants to fight, you know. But it's like,
I mean, if it went that way, that'd be amazing.
I would be up for that 100%. Like, what's he?
Oh,
what's he choosing?
Is top? It's like, oh, Jesus
no, it's
Christ.
like it's like one of those things. Like, what's he fighting with? Oh, he's just fighting him. He's just fighting you. Like, wait, what? He's not fighting with a Pokemon? No, he's Abdul. What the fuck does he need a Pokemon for?
Yeah, exactly.
And he almost beat Bruce. He doesn't need a fucking Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so I'll say that I lost to Mustard at the very top like twice. Not because like they want you to only use Kubfu by that point. And before you go up there, because you have to take everybody out of your party and only use Kubfu. And it's one of those things they say, you know what, this would be a lot easier if you're level 70. And I was like, I gotta do a fucking podcast tomorrow. I got other shit I want to do tonight. I don't want to just be grinding all fucking day. I'm 56, that's good enough. Fuck it, let's get this over with.
Oh, you went for a challenge there.
I did. And everybody up to Mustard was easy because Mustard uses a Kubfu too, but his is just level 70 something. Is 70?
I think it was solid 70, yeah.
Yeah, so by that point I'm like, shit. Because now it's like, all right, well, he has all the same attacks as me. He's just level higher. So in trying to do that, I was trying to figure out how to beat this thing. And then I thought, oh, wait, you know what? I have the item Rocky Helmet.
I use that too.
I put that on him, and they just basically, like, I don't want to go out there grinding, so I just put Rocky Helmet on him, and then I just had a bunch of potions with me. And I just kept on, like, just keep my guy alive while he kept on attacking me and hurting himself.
Yeah, when I found that Rocky helmet, I was like, oh god, this is so, like, perfect to, like, save the day on this kind of stuff. Because I got my Kubfu up to level 73, and what I was doing to get him leveled up was I'd go to, like, those, like, the portals or whatever where you get the Watts from and go fight the big giant Pokemon that sometimes can be just such a pain in the ass. But, like, if you do beat them, it's like you get all those, like, experience booster things, and you could pretty much, like, give Kubfu, like, 6 to 8 levels, like, every single time you defeat one of those Pokemon.
Yeah, like, the only times I ever really lost in this game was just a few of those giant Pokemon matches, and it's not because the thing killed me, it's because, like, oh, the storm got too wild and it blew you away because it takes fucking forever for some reason, you know? And by that point, Kubfu was, like, only, like, 40 or whatever, or 50. And what I did is I was just going around the island, fighting, having him be in the back seat, collecting experience, then occasionally going out and fighting depending on what it was. And then I even went over to the leagues a few times and just battled through the league because, like, all right, well, I'm assuming these are like the highest leveled characters in the game, really. So then did that, and then by that point I was like 55, 56, and I was like, we recommend you be at 70. I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to do it already, you know? And then I just stocked up on a bunch of potions. And then from there, I lost to the old... And it sucked because it'd be one of those things where I was trying to form a strategy on it because we do that thing where he would suddenly use a stat boosting attack, or he'd suddenly like just miss. But then by the time I came up with my strategy, he just was not missing at all. So I was playing that game where you just revive, like give him health just so he can be almost in the red again. And then I just thought, wait a minute, do I have a spare Rocky helmet? Like, I do got a spare Rocky helmet. All right, I just got to outlast this bitch. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say that whole idea about that fight, fuck off. I got shit to do. Idea I got to chase this fucking special needs kid around the fucking island and train him up from like 5 to 70 just because this guy sucks at his fucking job? Fuck off.
Yeah, it is kind of like one of those ones where it's like, that feels like they did that just so they could sort of extend it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's literally like one of those ones, like, if you just could use your regular Pokemon, shit, you'd have that thing done in like half an hour.
And I guess they're trying to show that you're a better trainer and all that you can do that. And part of me kind of gets it. Mm-hmm. I think, you know what? I think if I wasn't in a rush and there wasn't a bunch of other stuff I had to do last night before we were doing this show, because I was thinking like, okay, well, I gotta do this, this, and this. Oh, fuck, I still gotta beat Pokemon so we can talk about it for the podcast. So then I was just like, fuck, I got other things to do. Okay, so maybe if I wasn't in that mindset, maybe it'd be more like, okay, it's just taking your time with it. But I was just kind of like, it felt a little like, yeah, if I had my other characters, I can knock this out so easily. It just felt a little tedious after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those ones, because when you kind of think about it, it's that thing where for $15, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you get 2 packs for $30, but the second one comes out later in the year. I will say, when you kind of go for $15, that is literally like 1/4 of what you paid for the full price game. You know, you kind of expect to sort of get a little bit more. As I said, catching Pokemon wise, they definitely got it there, because I think there's like over 100 Pokemon. There is all sorts of shit to catch, you know what I mean? Also, I was like, you're going across these areas, it's like, oh shit, look at that, oh man, look at that, and there's items galore to pick up along the way, and so I think dialing your Pokemon in that way, there is tons of that, and then of course you got the big giant Pokemon battles, which, I will say this, do you remember the Pokemon battles on the original island, where the guys had the shield, and then they just brought a second shield up? Because that was the most frustrating thing I noticed with those giant Pokemon battles.
Sorry, you blinked out for a second. I remember those battles taking, like...
No, you have to talk about the shield part of them.
The shield part? You mean when, like, you put up... Oh, you mean when they suddenly get a shield thing and you have to knock that down before, like, that whole thing?
Yeah, it's like... I just don't remember them having, like, the multiple shield thing on the other island. Maybe they did, I never...
Not as many. I don't remember there being as many shields.
Well, because it's like...
I don't remember it.
Because that's the only thing about those battles, I'll say. It's like one of those ones... And I guess what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be, like... You, me, and like 2 other real people are supposed to fight them. You're not supposed to take the computer players along, because computer players are supposed to like retarded anyways. They're like, go Togepi! Togepi, use Rain Dance! It's like, oh, just get the fuck out of here. For all I care, you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, you're not helping any cause. But like, that shield thing is almost like so annoying, because it's like, okay, you like break down the shield, and like each attack only takes down 1 point, takes down 2 if you're Gigamax, but if you're not that, takes 1 point, and then you get 1 opportunity to do damage, and then it goes back to that shield again. You're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And you only have 10 turns anyways. It's like, I don't know how the hell you're supposed to do that unless you have like 4 other like real humans with like level 100 Pokemon, because obviously the computer can't fucking help you out very much.
I know. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do by this point. 'Cause I remember being able to do it like when you're out in the mainland, the main part of the main country or whatever. Mm-hmm. I remember it being a lot easier. And just like you have the people there like, we're here to help too. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead. But then in this one, it is one of those things where suddenly it's just like, oh look, I brought my Weedle. Just like, what the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing here?
And then they're like, string shot. It's like, no, use a real attack. Don't use fucking string shot, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's some stupid stat boosting bullshit or something like that. So it's like, Jesus Christ. But I guess the only thing is, if you do have it in multiple, like, if you do have like, real people there, I guess it comes down to, all right, who gets to catch this thing?
Yeah, I kind of wonder that. Well, because half the time, though, you can't catch him anyways. It's always like, you sure you want to fight it? You can't catch him. Like, well, I ain't here to fucking catch it. What I'm here for is for all those bonus items. But, yeah, sure.
You can't always catch it. I thought you could ually catch it with the.
You can't catch it very often. Only sometimes, yeah. It'll pop up a little message that says you can't catch it, and it's like I don't fucking care. But it was that multiple shield thing. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how are you supposed to do this? Like, without? I mean, obviously, I get you're supposed to get fucking friends is what you're supposed to do, buddy. Like, fuck you. Why can't Weedleboy be any good? Like, what's wrong with fucking Weedleboy? Fucking
Bugcatcher Tom wants to fight. Like, you don't want to be friends with Bugcatcher Tom. Bugcatcher Tom, go fuck himself. Or go fuck a Scatterpie for all I care.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things where...
Another Eevee comes out and gives me goddamn fucking helping hand.
Yeah.
It's like that one. It's just like, here we go, guys. And you're like, oh, shit, just fuck. That's one of my main Pokemon that I use that Mudsdale one. The one that evolves from, like, the donkey. It evolves with a donkey. But the one that turns into like a giant like Budweiser beer horse, and I had the earthquake attack, and the earthquake attack would fucking kill all your own teammates too. But like I almost felt joy when I did that. Be like, what a man fucking handled the work of his Budweiser horses.
I only made it quick and painless.
It's just like
they were just slowing me down anyway.
And then for some reason, they can always throw their Pokemon back out, but I can never throw my Pokemon back out. I always thought that was weird, too.
Yeah, no, I stopped doing those after a while just because I was like, oh, let me just catch a regular thing. Because you never know. Because sometimes you go up to like, oh, shit, I don't know what that is. Maybe I can capture it. Maybe I can't. I don't know. But I don't know. A lot of the time, I'm just like, yeah. I just was going out there. I was like, when I first got the Isle of Armor, I mainly just, before I even did anything story-related other than fight that bitch at the... BART station, at the local reference, at the train station or whatever. Aside from that, I just kind of went around the island just looking for, just things to capture and battle, and that itself was really fun. And I know I was talking shit like, fuck you, fuck this, when it came to the final boss kind of thing. Mm. But overall, I'd still say it's fun. I was expecting maybe a little more, but it's still, I mean, maybe, I heard him say that more legendary characters are coming. And I'm not sure if that's on this one somewhere, or if that's the next expansion.
Yeah, well, I kind of wonder if there's going to be, like, other little things in between and so on.
Like events or something?
Yeah, because, I'm not too sure. Because I'll say, like, I still enjoyed this expansion. It's probably just because I like Pokemon so much. I could see some people being a little bit... Because if you really just did not care about catching Pokemon, and you're just like, oh, I just want some more story, that's kind of the sucky part. Because I will say, the one thing... If there's only, like, one little criticism just for the normal game of Sword and Shield compared to, like, the other Pokemon, because I think overall... It's so dialed in as far as gameplay and, all the Pokemon you can catch, and I like the Wildlands idea and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that's kind of weird about that game, though, is I remember it's such, like, a straightforward, like, you literally go to the gyms, and that's it. There's never, like, that kind of, like, hey, go investigate the Sif Company, or hey, go investigate Lavender Town, or hey, go investigate, Team Rocket's. There's none of that. There's no extra stuff in that game. It's just, like, just the gyms, I mean? Like, it's like, let's get shit done. Like, don't go fucking dilly-dallying around trying to solve fucking mysteries and bring ghosts back.
Fucking Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Like, and that's the only thing. And it's not the worst thing, because I think what they thought in this game is, like, the Wildlands and, getting together with your buddies and battling giant Pokemon. Like, that was supposed to kind of make up for it. But, I guess if you're kind of the single player just doing, like, the story, like business as usual, you're kind of like, there is a little bit missing. And I kind of thought the expansion was going to kind of bring a little bit more of that in there. And it really just brings more like Wildlands kind of stuff, which is cool. And, a tiny little story, which, it was still fun, entertaining. Like, I still had a really good time. It, brought me back in there. But I do still feel like, I kind of hope that next one really does have something going on. Because this is going to be kind of weird. This is going to be the first year that there's not a Pokemon game coming out.
Huh.
Because there's ever since Red and Blue, there's always been a Pokemon game. Now, granted, mostly the second year is always sort of like the Yellow, or the Emerald, or those kind of ones where it's sort of like the expanded version, or it's kind of like the slightly sequel, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this year it's like I think these expansions are supposed to be what that is.
Yeah, something to that effect. I can see that. That or they have like some spin-off game coming out.
Well, the spin-offs don't count though.
Oh, you're talking about mainstay games. Yeah, there really been a game every year with ever since Red and Blue?
Yeah, there's a game every single year, pretty much.
I didn't even realize that. I guess if
you include, once again, the yellows and the emeralds and like those ones, because those ones always come out like the next year. But yeah, it's been like bop. Because, 98 red, blue, 99, or as far as Americans go, 99 yellow, 2000 gold and silver, 2001 whatever the heck, the crystal, 2002 I think was ruby and sapphire, 2003 was emerald, 2004 was diamond and pearl, and so on.
Diamond pearl, then it's like black and white, then X and Y, and then then sun and moon, then sword and shield. God, there's been so many more. I got my DS out. I should probably go back and play some of the older ones.
And then there's also the remakes too, the red and blue remake, and of course the gold and silver ones, and so on. So I'm counting all those ones, but there's always some adventure that comes out that you can kind of play. I know this kind of left me with that thing where it's like it gave me that Pokemon feeling, and it's like, man, I kind of feel like playing some more. And I oddly have this hankering to kind of go a little bit back. Like I almost want to go back and play like Pokemon Emerald or something like that, like Game Boy Advance. But kind of go with like one of those ones that I never, because that's like one of the only Pokemon games I really never played, because when it came out, I just didn't have a Game Boy Advance yet. Like I got a Game Boy Advance a little bit later, so I never got that one.
I've never actually played that one. So maybe I was back home recently, and I was sorting through my basement, my family's basement, and came across my Game Boy Advance. Like, I'm going to take this with me just in case. And might as well. I might go on like some retro shopping. This is one of those things where it's just like, man, if only Funko Lands are still a thing, I can go out and buy like, just go to like that glass cabinet and buy like, oh, $15 for this game, $10 for that game. But I could probably find it on eBay or something for a cheap price.
Yeah, but, you should have mentioned to me. I actually have the whole set of all those ones on Game Boy Advance.
You cool with me just erasing files?
Some of them aren't even started yet.
Oh, okay. All pans out.
And the cool thing about I want to say Ruby and Sapphire, that's the one Pokemon game where you can have 3 files of Pokemon on it.
They probably never did that again. I bet.
Yeah, I think that's what they probably saw a decline in sales because people instead of because I think the main reason why somebody buys the other one is like they're like, well, shit, I want to start a new file, but I don't want to erase my old one. I guess we'll just buy the other one now.
There was that kid who would almost have 2 Game Boys, not because of like, I don't know, it's one of those things like, Mother, Father, I don't have another friend. Well, I'll tell you what, how about we just give you another Game Boy? And another one of the, what, you got the red one? Well, here's the blue one or some shit. I don't know.
It's like a friend, except for he'll never let you down unless the batteries die and you're out camping.
Let's be honest, Billy, you're not going to make a friend. Fucking look at you. Come on.
Look at you. You fucking lick the screen to clean it, Billy. Like, I don't even know what to say to that.
You know what? Don't say nothing. Here's the Game Boy. Happy birthday. Go to your fucking room.
When you lick a purple Game Boy screen, you're gonna be licking something purple soon, and it's best you don't tell me, Billy.
I'm trying to be open-minded about this shit, but fuck. Everyone's got a limit.
But it's one of those ones, if I can't handle you licking the purple Game Boy screen, I know I can't handle whatever else you're gonna do. Let's just be honest.
I think that this game it is still pretty fun, and if you already like what you're going on with it, I mean, I'll be honest. You said that you brought up the point that this series, they don't have very much of the side story where you go over here and stop this evil scheme from this wannabe Team Rocket or whatever. But I think I'm okay with that just because it was something different. They were trying something a little different, and that story aspect comes out near the end when you find out like, oh wait, we're going into like corporate espionage and corruption in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it kind of comes in a little bit at the end, which I thought was interesting.
Well, it's like they do sort of combine it in there, but it is one of those ones where definitely the Wildlands and all the stuff that kind of happens in that was sort of like the trade-off, I feel,
And those were fun, because I'll be honest, I've been reading since we did volume 1 of the manga. I've continued on my bus rides to work.
Oh, see, I've been waiting for you to say that because I haven't started them yet because I didn't want to. I was like, well, I'm not gonna do that until he's ready.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing them for the show. I'm already on volume 4.
Oh, geez, yeah. I've been wanting to read those so bad for the last 2 weeks, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta wait for Ryan.
Oh no! I didn't know we were coming back to them. I thought we were just doing.
Oh yeah, no,
one.
yeah. We've been waiting this whole time.
Fuck. Well, we're doing this one, so I guess shit. It's another month of Nintendo shit. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah.
It's like 2 months straight of Nintendo shit. Yeah. Mario May, obscure Nintendo comics to top it off with
Pokemon
Isle of
Fever.
Armor. Back to just more Pokemon Nintendo comics. All right. I wonder if people are like, God, I remember there was a time where they talk about anything other than Nintendo shit. No, what was I gonna say? No, we can cover that again soon. I'll gladly go back and reread some of them because they're really good. I was about to say that other than that, I can't think of a whole lot of times the story was that great. And even in the games, I mean, even Red and Blue, the story was very minimal. But I kind of liked that because I thought that every so often you kind of... I know it's a storyteller's job to kind of tell you how to feel or tell you what's going on, but it's almost kind of fun sometimes to kind of twist it and make it more your own thing. And I think Red and Blue were a blank enough slate to where you can imagine whatever your character was saying, what your character was doing, how they'd interact in that world. And since then, everything felt like it got a lot softer and a lot more like kiddier. And I think I'm going to take a phrase you said. I think when we were talking about Sword and Shield when it first came out, you said it went from being like you're going out in the wild to fight off against some like dangerous monsters you could possibly tame to now it feels like you're collecting stuffed animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that kind of is sort of how it is. And it's even like that, like as you say, kind of like, I think because Nintendo was always really good about it back in the day. They're still pretty good about it today compared to other companies. But like where video games were sort of not supposed to have that like so like in-depth story because you were supposed to be kind of like a part of the story. Like that, I think some people don't get that, you know, because that's why like you see games nowadays and sometimes it's almost like you could pull the fuck back on like, don't tell me how the character, I almost feel like sometimes don't tell me how the character thinks too much because it's sort of like, it can sometimes go against the way that you, as the playing the character, would kind of feel. Like, that sort of thing sometimes where he's like, well, that's not what I would fucking do if I was that character, and this is who I'm playing as. Like, sometimes that can be kind of annoying when they try to shoehorn in too much, like, story. Like, there's something to be said about, like, you know, it's kind of like Link in the Pokemon games, and even, like, you could say, like, Mario and so on. I mean, Mario's got more personality than the other ones, but, like, you could kind of interject your own personality, and it works with the whole like kind of game. Like you could take Ocarina of Time for example. You can interject however you could be a total dick, or you could be like the nicest guy in the world, and it almost works both ways with Link. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even with I'll say this, another comparison. Like the story, I think the Pokemon itself, I think that it has like the good baseline for a great story. I just think it's an interesting world, and there's a lot of things you can do with it, and it still is, let's not kid ourselves. At the end of the day, it's still a kid thing. But I think it's so multi-generational by this point that you can almost kind of like, you don't have to go like, this is the PG-13 one. This is the edgy R-rated one. We don't need that. But I think there is some stuff where it's like, you know what? We can make it take itself just a tad more seriously, or we can expand on things. And going off that that manga series, even though you'd still consider that manga series most likely for kids, it's interesting because... I mean, I'm going to jump slightly ahead here, just slightly, but there's a scene that stands out to me, and it's like he's going through the Safari Zone, and he gets ambushed by some, what's the thing Bellsprout evolves into? The big...
Vileplume?
Not Vileplume.
Gloom? Oh, no,
Victory Bell.
Victory Bell, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking fucking
those things are carnivorous, and in that book, those things are carnivorous and trap whatever they can and eat whatever they want. And it's they're trying to do that at some point with Red. And they almost kind of like, and there's actually other animals there, not Pokemon, but other animals. Like you see like birds and like random rodents being hung up, and like, oh my god, they're draining these things of their life source and using them as fertilizer to feed their young. It's like, holy shit. So it's like at some point this thing, and you know, at some point there's another character who, I won't say who, but someone's basically threatening to kill Red, and they have like a Beedrill like drill at his throat, like, back the fuck up. I'm not saying that, but that's basically, that's the gist of the scene. It's like, at some point, the series kind of, I mean, not sure if it ever really had it, but this adaptation did. it seemed like it kind of lost its teeth, sort of. You know what I mean? And the gameplay is still fun. That's why I go back to play it. And there's enough good memories from the old game for me to bring it back in the first place. But I do like that. Like I said, I'm not expecting the edgy R-rated version, but I would like it to just be slightly like, boy, isn't it wonderful and magical out here? Like, it can be, but let's also give it a little bit of that Jurassic Parkness. Not to the level of like, is that Samuel Jackson's arm that just flopped down in front of me? But more on the aspect of like, oh, there's some whimsy, but shit can go bad if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly. It really goes to show you don't think of it. And that's probably what every person as like you age in life, you kind of realize you're like, shit. The fucking 90s was so much more hardcore. You don't think of it at the time period. And even at the time period, you'd almost been like, man, the fucking 70s was so much more hardcore than the 90s. But you look at the 90s compared to like the 2010s, and you're like, shit, people in the 2010s are like little bitches. What are they going to be like in the 2040s? You know what I mean? you kind of hate to be that, because you just sound like that old person. Because I mean, granted, I always just picture like, you know, my grandfather being in fucking World War II and watching me fucking sit there play fucking Final Fantasy VII. He just probably was just like, the fuck is
What's wrong with this boy?
We fought World War II so you don't be playing the Japanese games. And here you are playing the Japanese games in my house.
I want you to play Midway. That's an American company.
Exactly.
Like the Battle of Midway.
And the Mortal Kombat, because that's made by Americans doing martial arts. But yeah, it's just like one of those ones like you think of those kind of things like that, you know. Just I think it's just like there's just a certain point where you get to that head shaking when you look at the fucking youth and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, guys, like, grab a BB gun and shoot each other for Christ's sakes.
It'll hurt at first, but you'll start laughing after a while.
Yeah, you know, I'll say this: you got a face mask on already, so you're already protected. That's the only thing you need to worry about with shooting your eye out. As long as your eyes are protected, you're good to go.
Avoid the eyes and the dimples, the side of your head. I remember my dad, and I'm not trying to like make light of it because it was a friend of his. But I remember these are the type of stories you would never hear our generation say. But he says like one time, like him and his like some friends of his were shooting each other with BB guns. One shot his friend and got shot in the side of the head of a BB gun. It hit his dimple, didn't like go, but like deep enough, and he just says, "You asshole," and fell over, died.
You see, that just sounds like I know.
Literally said, "You asshole," as he fell over and died.
Yeah, see, and that just sounds like, you know what I mean? Like, you go there, you're like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, fucking you with your Pokemon generation, fucking throwing your guys' fucking balls and dicks at each other and trying to capture it. Yeah. People died from BB guns. I thought you were almost gonna say like, and then it's like just before, like, yeah, well, we ran around shooting 22s at each other.
Our dad said we were a bunch of pussies for not using a 6-shooter, for not using a 45.
And then Grandpa said that, you know, black powder was the only way. You know what I mean? A real man only needs one shot to kill.
Well, it's also like, I remember like, I mean, I said this a long time ago on the podcast, but it's been long enough now, I'll probably have different listeners. I remember, it relates back to Pokemon. Pokemon first came out when I was in the 5th grade, and at least to America when I was in the 5th grade. And I remember I was rewatching season 1, because the first season just ended and did a thing where it loops back around and it starts to play it from the beginning of season 1. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that was the last episode. Okay, I'll just watch it. And I remember I was watching episode 1 of season 1, and my dad walks in. He says, "This is that Pokemon thing you're always talking about?" Like, "Yeah, Dad, yeah." He's like, and he just happened to be there. He had a beer in hand, and he was sitting there watching it. Not really responding to it, just kind of watching it. Almost like he's just trying to analyze it, like he's trying to understand it. He's doing the best he can. and then when it was over, he turned to me, he says like, "This is your favorite show?" I'm like, and then I'm like, "Yeah, Dad." And he's like, "Fuck." He just gets up and walks out the room.
Here, another beer crack. Chug.
Yeah, he wasn't even done with that one yet, but another beard crack when he walks into the garage, yeah. And then, like, I remember there's another time where Like, I think you'd always have a podcast called My Dad and Pokemon. I think you could almost have like another side show. There's enough things there. There's like another time where it usually links back to the show, where it was the I want to say it was the episode where they go to Cinnabar Island and they fight Blaine, and and like, you know, I remember Blaine uses a Magmar in that episode. And this thing where they don't show what Magmar looks like. He busts out of a bunch of lava, and it's panning up. You don't see his face. It cuts to commercial break. He saw the end of it. He just saw, like, you know, part of a little bit of that, like, battle. Then Magmar comes up. Then he stops. He's like, just pauses. And he actually kind of stood and waited on the ads to see what this thing looks like.
So, like,
and then
what Pokemon is that? Oh, I fucking know this one.
Not even that. Well, he waited for that. And then, like, because, you know, it was going to be usually correlated with whatever was in that episode. Is when they come back to what Pokemon is that? It's Magmar! Magmar! And he's like, that's that fucking thing looks like? Like, he was disappointed.
It's just got a big old butt for a forehead.
Well, it's got like a ass for a forehead. Its eyes are all squinty, and it's like doing like a puckery duck face, you know? So he's like, that's what that fucking thing looks like? And he just kind of walks out like he didn't care. No. He was just kind of curious, like, okay, what constitute is the badass creature in this fucking show the kid likes? What constitutes is the big scary monster? What, that fucking thing? You gotta be shitting me. All right, done.
You don't think about it as a kid, because as a kid you sort of accept things really well, but when you do look at Magmar, he is fucking weird looking.
He's goofy as fuck. Yeah. Especially at the time, because there's the characters that didn't evolve, and it was be kind of like there's a little bit of the sense of like, he can't evolve, why the fuck do I have him? Because there's something looking forward to seeing this thing change and evolve, you know?
Well, that was like,
unless you had a Snorlax or like a Zapdos or something.
Well, that was kind of the fun thing I had. Well, I did, especially with Sword and Shield, is when I found Pokemons I didn't know what the fuck they were. I just kind of, because it's like one of those ones, like, you kind of realize the Pokemon, you only really need about 3 main Pokemon. So you got about 3 slots that you can kind of have whatever. And in the older games, you sort of always had to have, like, the fucking workhorse Pokemon, which was the one you just fed all, like, the T or the HM moves to. It'd be like, which Snorlax was always good because you could learn, like, Strength and Surf and whatever the hell is Strength. I already said that. Whatever. He learns all those ones, and so he doesn't learn Fly, I guess. But it's one of those things, like, since I had this 3 open slots in Sword and Shield, because you don't need all those extra HM-type moves anymore and so on, it's just like, well, shit, I'm just going to take these random Pokemon, just evolve them, and just see what the hell they are, just for the heck of it.
Oh, yeah. And, well, I'll say this. What was I going to say regarding that? I even though I know it's just numbers and data, I do feel bad in the context of the story, like having a character that's there with me for a good portion of a while, like, time to put you in the box for the new shiny toy, you know? So, and I will say, I did have that badass wolf with the sword with me for a little while, but I'm like, sorry, but I kind of want to train up this guy over here, I want to train that guy over here, you know? So I ended up, like, I usually carry most of the same team with me, but I would usually have a rotating slot for, like, the one I feel like being experimental with. In this case, it was the dog thing, which I had for a little while, and then I switched him out for Kubfu, and I don't know if I'll go back to the dog thing. What I really like that's on Sword, I'm not sure if this is another generation or if it's this one, what I really like on Isle of Armor is that buffalo thing.
Oh, yeah, the thing, it's kind of like a Taurus, but different.
It has like an afro.
Yeah, I think that one, I almost want to say that was from the Aloha, the Pokemon Sun and Moon. I want to say it was from that section, but at this point, it's kind of hard. So it's just everything. I can recognize all these Pokemon, but, like, you know, it just kind of starts to run together, you know.
Once again, I don't, and I had it on my team for a little while, but then I had to switch it out because make room for Kubfu. So,
but now you're done, Kubfu. You can toss him in the fucking, like, after this whole, like, bonding experience, you're like, shit, get back there.
Yeah, go to Bill's PC. Bill's out of work. Well, I don't know who. You're on somewhere, not fucking here. And then
only Bill does. Well, Bill's been retired for years. Bring him out of retirement. Damn it, I don't trust anybody else.
Comes out, boy, what you doing? Bring me out of retirement, goddamn.
Just like that old man yelling at the bank teller, be like, no, I only trust Bill with my money. Well, sir, Bill's 84, and really, you don't want to trust him with your money anymore.
You want to know how high you can count up to? 15. That's on a good day. Alzheimer's.
You remember that one time he turned himself to a Pokemon? Well, now he's just doing that on the regular.
Says it makes him feel young again.
I love it when I can feel my rat-a-tat balls. Oh, Bill, god damn it, you turned yourself into a rat-a-tat again? I like being a rat-a-tat. My name's Bill. You're like,
Just fucking Forrest Gump.
this guy used to be the world's greatest scientific genius here now, and now I catch him turn himself into a rat-a-tat and scratching his balls.
I think there's room
Complaining
for
about
like
the youth.
I think there's room for like a what's his name? John Blank. A Cronenberg like fly ass like rat-a-tat movie regarding on Bill. You know what I mean? Because he turns himself into a Pokemon because it's all a transportation device it happens in. It's definitely meant to be a reference to The Fly. I think there's a creepy rat, like a hybrid, like, and don't make him look all cute. Like, oh look, he has like he has a rat-a-tat body, but a human head, but he has little whiskers and buck teeth. No, I mean like make it look like some chimera humanoid shit, like a tumor growing out the side of his neck, and like one eye is bigger than the other, like rat-a-tat.
And Professor Oak has to put him down or something like that towards the end.
He says, "No, I feel better than I ever have before. Wait till I evolve." And like literally, like his skin starts to bulge and force out, kind of like how the end of The Fly, like his skin starts to fall off until he's literally just this fly thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that'd be pretty sweet. You know what I mean? It's like the other thing too. I feel like it's always an open thing for Pokemon that they've never really done is just to literally have it be like, oh shit, you can actually travel to like all the different Pokemon regions. Which maybe I don't know, maybe that might come in the long run because I could almost see like doing a Pokemon game where it's like, hey, you start off in this one region, and every fucking, like, 6 months, we're going to do an expansion, and it literally gives, like, one of the other regions. You know what I mean? Because, once you've got, like, 9 of them or 10 of them, whatever it is, built up, you could almost just, like, play with that forever.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, it almost makes it feel like it's probably, like, one of those, like, MMORPGs, but you know what I mean.
Well, it's also one of those things, I'm just thinking, like, originally part of the whole appeal whole like justification of it, like, well, this is a world like, yeah, sure, there's some cars and maybe there's some planes somewhere, but generally the main mode of transportation is walking from town to town because you're a kid training and you don't have a driver's license yet, and that's just, this world is funded by dogfights, so just go walking, go training into the woods, go do whatever. But now you got this, now in this one they're just like, all right, well, Uber is a thing, so Sky Ubers by Pokemon is a thing. So now what do we, so now it's like finding an excuse for your guy to walk from town to town is a little harder to pull off now. And I think it'd be a lot easier now to do that, especially just like, oh, I just want to fly over to the Aloha region. Oh, I want to fly over to the Gold and Silver region,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seems like one of those ones, like, maybe that's coming in, like, Nintendo likes that thing where they savor those ideas for a long time and like, no, there's a time and a place to release it. And that's what we'll do when we get to that point. But till then, you fucking enjoy your fucking Isle of Armor. Don't you fucking tell us what you want.
We'll tell you what you fucking want, because we'll throw it out there. You might complain about it, but you'll fucking buy it. Why? We're fucking Nintendo. That's why.
Exactly.
Shut the fuck up. Give me your $15.
Yeah, Nintendo knows best.
Don't question. Do you think... what was I going to say? Just double checking, because I never actually finished Sword and Shield. So not Sword and Shield. I'm sorry, I did finish Sword and Shield.
I was going to say, like, what?
I meant Gold and Silver.
You never finished Gold and Silver?
Yeah. Well, that's right when I was starting to get out of it. And then I never came back to that one. And I'm more looking forward to it now. But, yeah.
Well, shit, you should go pick up the the DS remake versions of them.
I just might do that. I was going to ask, once you're basically done with that, it surprises you and basically gives you the first game, doesn't it? Because you just go into the first game, it's like, here it is, like, a few years later.
Yeah, that was one of the things that, really at the end of the day, like, Red and Blue is the ultimate classic, but Gold and Silver is almost one of the most dialed-in Pokemon experiences ever, because you get a full game with Gold and Silver. And then they're like, shit, here, you get like Waterfall or something like that, HM. They're like, oh, guess what? You can cross over this other region. And when you go to the other region, yeah, it's like 10 years later or something like that. And you can battle all the original gym leaders. I think like Koga's a little bit different because I think Koga's not the gym leader anymore, but he's now like the Elite Four. And then, of course, that's where you go and find Red, and Red's up there like, I killed him. I killed them all. All the Mewtwo's are dead.
You just see a bunch of notches all over the wall.
Yeah, and you're like, shit, what the fuck happened there?
There's one small little space, like, room for one more.
And then I think Gary is, I want to say Gary is Giovanni, so he's like Gym 8 in that one.
Oh, okay.
But, like, it's so cool because, like, that's one of those ones, like, you go back and it's like, shit, it's literally like having a sequel to Red and Blue, and it's funny how they've never really done that on any of the other Pokemon games. But it's so worth it just to grab. I mean, shit, you can grab even, like, you could download, I know for a fact, on the 3DS, you can download, Gold and Silver if you want to have an old school experience. It's not nearly as bad. I don't know, sometimes it's one of those ones, like, you kind of think about, like, those, like, all the nice little features that you sort of have in, like, the modern Pokemon games. But for the most part, like, I kind of go, It's that thing that, like, those games were designed for how they were supposed to be, so it's not really, like, you don't necessarily need, like, a run button. You realize it's like, you move kind of fine enough because that's how these games were made, and as long as you kind of get back in that old school groove, you can kind of do it. But I will say that Gold and Silver remake on DS is pretty sick.
Yeah, I might have to go get that. Quick question regarding that.
It came with a petameter when I bought mine, and I thought that was going to be the sickest thing ever. I'm like, shit, you put your Pokemon in there and you go take a fucking jog and it levels up? Well, fucking jogged 5 miles and Meowth only leveled up like 1. I'm like, fuck this! Too much fucking work!
Actually, everybody was going to ask, are all Generation 1 characters in that, or is it most of them and then a lot of, like, Gold and Silver ones?
Well, Gold and Silver is like, the majority of them are Gold and Silver Pokemon at first, and then they sprinkle in a little bit of Red and Blue, but I want to say once you go back to the other island, or the other world or whatever, Kanto, there's for the most part, mostly all the Red and Blue, especially in the remake, I want to say. And then there was, if I remember correctly, there was also another, like, you could go to the Orange Islands, like the fucking, in the TV show kind of thing. They had those in there, too. I don't think that was in the original Gold and Silver, but that's in the remake ones. So they give you like a third section that you can go to.
That is kind of interesting. Like, well, we don't have a game out for this point. We got to make some shit up. They go to some islands.
Yeah, they go to some islands, but like, yeah.
I feel like that's also sorry, but I was gonna say that's also the point. Like, all right, we still gotta have Misty. It's still gonna be Ash. But we gotta find someone else. What's their gimmick? Well, Brock was a breeder. What's this guy's thing? I don't know. He likes to sketch shit.
Oh yeah,
that is fucking stupid.
Terry or something like that.
Terry or Jesse or something. And not Jesse. I think it was Terry.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's fucking stupid. Well, we can bring out the photographer guy from Snap. Well, that might be a little better, but fuck it, we're already here. Yeah, fucking Terry. Fuck it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. God, I want to say in Gold and Silver in the remake. Sorry, I'm just like, now you're making me go on this like nostalgic trip. I think when you go to those fucking Orange Islands or whatever the fuck they're called out there, then you could catch Pokemon from like Ruby and Sapphire and all kinds of stuff, and Diamond and Pearl out there. So like that game, I remember being like, they really went the fucking distance on that one.
Might have to get that one.
Yeah, like shit. I would probably say that one, the Gold and Silver remake, if you had to go back to any old school Pokemon game. I mean, granted, I love them all. Anyone's a good choice, but that one might be the one.
Mm-hmm.
It would feel the nostalgic urge / it would give you like sort of like, since you never really finished Gold and Silver anyways, you get all that kind of good stuff. God, it makes me even want to go back and play it.
God, do that.
God damn.
Well, I think that mostly probably covers up, I guess, Isle of Armor right there. I mean, it's not. It's really more of just for going around exploring and then capturing new characters. The story-wise, I mean, the story was never really that amazing with any of the games from the few I beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got mostly done with Black, and it was a fun story. I liked it, and then Red and Blue, and then this one over here, Sword and Shield. So I think that the story-wise, which is what people were really hoping for, that it's a little like lackluster, but at the same time, the game itself is really fun, and the exploring is always really fun to do, and you never know what character you're gonna bump into. You'd be like, is that a fucking pincer? Holy shit, you know? I think pincer maybe on the other island. I'm just saying.
Oh, I was saying I didn't find a pincer. That must have been on you. Like maybe that's your version. I found Scyther.
I found a Scyther. Yeah, I found a Scyther. I found that that little York Terrier dog thing from Black.
Yep, that was there.
That was there. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of cool things on that island. And I'm going to say, if you already like the game, like, if you're not blown away by the game, then this isn't probably going to change your mind. But if you already like it, I'm going to say it's worth $15.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like it's still worth it. It's not as great as I guess, like, it could have been. Like, you know, but at the same time, it's still kind of neat in itself. I don't know. I feel like it's that weird thing, like, maybe if they had, like, a couple towers you could kind of go through, and it just sort of had I don't know, just some more things to battle. I mean, I say this, catching Pokemon's great, but if it's, as far as, like, this, like, the game of death kind of thing, like, that part's, it's not bad, but it's over kind of quick if you didn't have to go train that Kubfu up.
Yeah, and I think they did the Kubfu thing just to make it take its time. So, which I would have liked to fight some, like, maybe if, not to, like, speak after the fact, like, hey, Nintendo, here's what you could have done a little better. Oh, really? You're going to tell Nintendo what they could have fucking done better?
Yeah.
All right, drunk Batman, fucking tell me how Nintendo could have done fucking better. No, but I'll say, I think that maybe to give it more of, like, I guess a little bit more dimension, maybe if you had more, the only 3 characters that stand out are, like, Mustard, his wife, and whatever shitty rival you have, depending on the version. Both sound like both versions, the rival sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe if, like, he had, like, because, you know, then there's just, like, students that just stand there, like, duh, we're students, and we're the top of the line. Go catch these slowpokes. Whoa, okay. You know, I'm like, oh, I got a bike, so done. And then you're like, oh, look, this kid fucking found it. You guys been here for years, and this kid just fucking did it? You guys get the fuck out of my face. Come on, kid. Take this Kubfu thing. You know what? While you're at it, take this fucking Squirtle. Or the Bulbasaur. I don't give a shit. And then, I think, like, and then I think that, like, what would have been more interesting is maybe if he had, like, oh, these are my 4 elites. Kind of like something kind of akin to, oh, this guy kind of has his own theme. This guy is like, you know, like, make them stand out. Maybe they can not based off maybe particular movie stars or kung fu stars or anything like that, but just give them a particular kind of theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, because they could have really just played into that kind of that kung fu theme and made it sort of kind of like, you know how like in Red and Blue you have the kung fu dojo. It's not really like you don't get a badge from it, but you know you got that. It's pretty much like another gym that just. You know, it's not an official. We don't believe in your martial arts style, so that's why you can't be an official Pokemon League gym.
Yeah. Well, I also want to get across. I'm not trying to speak. I'm like, they should have had a Jackie Chan themed trainer. They should have had a Tony Jaa themed trainer, which I'm totally for. I'm not trying to like
Chuck
micromanage
Norris,
it down to that
like
level.
themed trainer.
Fuck yeah. Should be really weird, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not trying to get that weird with it or that like precise. But I think that it would have been interesting if they had like some trainers there that were more like gym leaders. That were more of like actually more visually interesting, more an interesting kind of motif to them, and you know, Mustard was interesting, kinda, but it was still just I felt like he kind of was trying to like fuck with the playing field, so you know, I could wipe the floor with him with like one of my like level 80 something characters with his little like bitch ass 70 level Kubfu thing.
Yeah, it's one of those ones like instead of like kind of like taking the special ed kid out to go see the fucking sites, almost every single time you went to one of those locations, they should have had a trainer out there that was being like everybody should just be kind of just martial arts sort of themed. And be like, you had to go out there and battle like a hard trainer at every single one of these. Like that would have, I don't know, just a little bit. I'm not saying to be like an armchair director towards this, but it is that kind of thing. Like I just felt like there could have been just a little bit more to that part of the game. That's it. For $15, for 1/4 the price of the regular game, I felt like there could have been just, because that's always my kind of problem about like sometimes DLC.
Or a legendary character. You're going out to fight these legendary
characters. Like maybe that would even be it too. Just something a little bit extra because, I don't know, that's always kind of the DLC problem. You know, and every once in a while there's some games that actually are really good with it, but like, they always have that sort of thing where like they charge like almost half the price of the regular game, but they give you maybe about like 1/10 of like the content, which is always kind of my problem. It's like, well, if you're gonna charge like that much, you might as well get that. Like realistically, for the half the price of the game, this almost should be like about half of what the other game is. When you kind of think about it. Like it's almost like it should be like an old school PC expansion pack. You know what I mean?
I think actually the best example of where I think I got my full money's worth for downloadable content was Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. I think that felt like a whole other game. Even though you're playing on the same field and things are slightly different, it felt different enough, you know?
Yep, I think that is one of the because that's like a game that like they could have charged $50 for that game. I would have paid it. It was only $20 when that came out on fucking physical disc and everything. And it was like a 20, almost maybe it wasn't 20, it was probably about 10-hour game. But still, it was so much content in there, so much things you could kind of do that was like, oh, this is so fucking sick. Like, and I feel like that's the thing is like very few games kind of live up to like that quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and it's kind of like one of those ones, like I said, like I still really enjoyed the Pokemon one, but it could have been just that little bit more. I just don't feel like that would have been that hard to really add in there. Like, what, just to add a couple trainers with some really kind of, like shit, give the trainer a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan, you know what I mean? Like that in itself would have been like, oh shit, I have to defeat this.
And this might be also nostalgia baiting too, and I don't want to go on too much being, like you said, an armchair game director, but like almost kind of like, oh yeah, some other people out here training, why don't you go see them? And you're like, holy shit, it's OG Elite Four, kind of at these different spots over here, something kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just something small, and it's just like I don't feel like that would take a whole lot of programming and design to put in there, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what the next expansion does. Hopefully, the next expansion really does kind of open up a little bit more, just for the price tag entry value. I kind of hope that there sort of is, and for the fact that we're kind of these expansions are supposed to make up for not having a brand new game, even if it is kind of like a secondary run or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, overall, fun. I liked it. I'm glad I got it. Hoping, I'll be honest, this aesthetic is more appealing to me than the Tundra thing. But still, I'm looking forward to that one, too. So, when that's out, hopefully they'll expand on that as well.
Yeah, but beyond that, good old fun times in the Pokemon world. Go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts. Comic books, remember, Pizza Boyz is out there on the Kickstarter. Have a little link, hopefully, in the description if I don't forget. But that's out there. Check that out. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boyz on either Comics Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comics Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunnigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boyz Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.